This is IBM Museum, and I did have a few other video topics queued up, but acquired an image of the diagnostic diskette for the IBM 7496 Executive Workstation today. So I'm going to go through and try and extract that image to a diskette. We'll have to find out how successful that is. That's a 720 KB image. And I've got a couple diskettes. If I get any problems, I'll have to reach into diskette pack and probably go through and convert over a 1.44 megabyte or something else. But I'll see what I can do and just kind of try and get through it. If I have to pause the video, we'll do that. But I'm going to go through. I will get the internal webcam hidden so we don't have that phase difference. I have my tweener system still, and it's interesting because I've meant to get this kind of out of the way for some of the stuff that is coming up. But it's good that we have it there, and that we can go through. I've got the diskettes that I'm going to try and do on the back here. I've already moved the trackpad, so if we had probably even had the screensaver going, but oh well. So let's get through, and I just want to see, for this, I can probably go through. Let's get the webcam back on, since it's really for the aspect of that we don't have that phase difference here. And I threw it into just the D. I've got a lot of images in here otherwise. And I think this one, no, it's organized alphabetically. So let me get up, and it's under, we can see, since it's got the IMA extension or whatever else, it's identified for WinImage. So going through, just double clicking, brings that up and under WinImage, and this is, and as well as a new scan of the guide to operations for the 7496. That copy that we've had up at the Arden tool was waterlogged. I mean, it's great. I appreciate the effort. My computer reset volunteer, David Jett, he went through and he had to even, I think, use a credit card or some other way of separating the pages after finding that wet, and really just hoping it'd stick together long enough to get a scan of it. That was fine. It was a little distorted in a lot of areas, but we've got a good or a better scan now of an unwaterlogged guide to operations manual, and that'll go up in place very shortly at the Arden tool. I want to thank Paul Bruner for going through and locating that 7496 guide to operations and this diagnostic diskette image, going through, making an image of it and sending it through to me so I can go through and try and extract it, and we can even try and run it on the 7496 and find out what we can do here. So I'll just go through, and these diskettes, I do have the boot diskette in the drive of the 7496 right now. I want to go through and there's and I don't know if I want to try the format. I already got this one in the 720 KB format. Although, and it's warning us, it's got contents. I've got the same contents on this diskette as we had for that boot diskette that we're working now. And actually, I think I don't even have the DOS debug and the edit and the QBasic, all that other stuff. I think this is a basic boot diskette that I had as standby in case I could not get the that diskette that I'm using now to work. And looks like it's doing a real good job image wise and everything else. So we're going to be successful the first time. That secondary diskette, knock on wood, is there in standby in case we need it. Now I'm getting ready for some other fun videos. I mean, I've got a few others that are planned. In regards to the 7496, and of course, with the notion that we've all heard about the theft now, I had produced a video for that, ran it by the folks at Computer Reset just to say, is this, we have to be careful what's said sometimes. And I want to make sure that I don't interfere with any investigation, even though a lot of the stuff that I said in that video is common knowledge or has been disclosed already. It still stirs things up sometimes. And there's still comments being made of, even on my channel, of, hey, if you wouldn't have featured these machines on video, they wouldn't have been stolen from Computer Reset. And, well, I don't know if I can. And I was intrigued that someone thought that my channel's widely enough viewed to motivate someone in the possibly over the 2 weeks, that it was up before the theft occurred, of someone watching it and being motivated by seeing that in my video. Not anything like seeing it on LGR's video of him having 1.5 million subscribers and showing a little bit more detail, but it's really, there's nothing to my video. There's nothing to Clint's video that would go through, or anyone else's video that caused someone to do something. I even saw something on LGR's channel saying you shouldn't have posted your video. Well, his video is up like a week, and then before somebody does something, and you expect us to be present and, know what we're showing. I just can't figure that out. But in the time I was yammering on, we did have, and I need to get these actually labeled because these are all the same type of diskette. And let's get going through. I can, right at the time that I switch over, let's get me off the screen here. And go through. And since I don't have this thing quite really seated and everything else, I still have a good working drive in there, thankfully. There is just some loose panels and pieces, but this thing is assembled for all that. And diagnostic diskettes are a boot diskette. You go through and you can boot from them in the drive. And this is the proper 720 KB format. And and I do this. Actually, this is probably another sign of a good error, as it is. I've got this unit unplugged, and really for it having a hard switch on there, it's not too worrisome. But I like to go through, and if something's not used, this older gear, going through and unplugging it from power. That's better. We see the lights and everything else. Now, I haven't really worked on the thought of data capture, excuse me, video capture in this instance. Maybe if necessary, I could zoom in on the screen or something like that. But I just want to go through and get it to where it runs. We can get this keyboard down so don't get mixed up on my keyboards. We have our mullim. So, reading that, IBM Executive Workstation Customer Diagnostic Diskette, copyright IBM Corporation 1987. Press enter to continue. Okay, and it asks, it's got Executive Workstation, Customer Diagnostic Diskette version 1.00. Again, copyright with the symbol and then copyright spelled out. IBM Corporation, 1981, 1987, 1988. And of course, the 1981 coming from the aspect of the PC release. And then 87 and 88 when they were working on this, no doubt. So it says services, and it says system checkout, format diskette, copy diskette, set time and date, and 9 being in services. So those are numbered as 0, 1, 2, and 4. Who knows where 3 is in this case? So I don't necessarily want to format or copy or diskette. We'll get into the system checkout. I want to go through and look at even first. Let's go through and select number 4. Set time and date. Let's see what the time and date is from recognized here. The current time is 21:47 and 29 seconds, which is right. It's getting late again. If the current time is correct, press enter. If the current time is incorrect, type the new time and then press enter. And it says, note, time must be entered in 24-hour format. The current date is 02 dash, well, it's 28. It's kind of hard for me to see the little tiny screen, even though it's a good quality screen. 2022. So it does even have a 4-digit date here. This system in the year 2022 is displaying that date. Otherwise, it's showing it American format, month, day, year. But 02-28-2022. That's just amazing. Current date is correct. Press enter. Current date is incorrect. Type the new date, then press enter. Now, with this being based on the PS2 Model 30 planer and that real-time clock, it goes through and it does cover in a very odd way. And then we're going to have a future video showing a lot of that nuttiness really to the real-time clock chip and some of the aspects of that and how IBM even set it up. But since it's at that very unique port, just as far as the PS2 Model 30 and the systems that were directly built on that planer, like the 7496 and also the 6900, it's like a personal typing system. It's built on that. Remember that, almost like a double-sized Model 30. But I'll go through and reveal all that for how that real-time clock operates. But this diagnostic diskette, with that, written with that in mind, it's going to go through. It's going to work with the time and date of that real-time clock correctly in this case, and we can kind of involve that in later things as it is too. I'm going to go through for the system checkout, doing the 0, enter, And it says program's loading, please wait. I mean, so looks like really good diskette image. We've got the drive is working for us good. You know, don't forget how many drives that we went through to get a working drive in this unit. It says, okay, it says the installed devices are system unit with 640 KB memory. That's on the third line. You know, I'll try and give a how it's set up for the lines. Installed devices are system unit, 640 KB memory with a little bit of indent, keyboard, display, one diskette drive, and then with the S in parentheses, primary dash parallel port, primary dash serial port. Is the list correct? Well, yeah, that list is correct. It's got the yes, no prompt. So we can do Y, yes, enter, testing 100. And this is really common for the diagnostic programs. It goes through the 100 steps, the 200 steps, testing 200. This test may take some time, up to 1 minute. Please stand by. And 200 is it memory? I think 100 level is CPU, 200's memory, 300 being the like the keyboard, I think. Okay, as most typical IBM diagnostic programs, it asks us the shape of the key of the inner key. And knowing that kind of being a fallback from the earlier 84 key keyboard or the 101 key keyboard, you know, I'm not going to focus on the inner key or be as pedantic to say this is a rectangle that's kind of vertical here. I'm going to say, well, yeah, they're probably talking about this inner key here that's rectangular and horizontal. As you can see, 1 and 2. So we want to go 1, and then we're pressing that inner key. Okay, and so yeah, the 300 series, it's the keyboard testing, and it's press each key, hold for type-o-matic test. If okay, press Y enter. If not okay, press N enter. So they're going through, and it changes to asterisk. It doesn't change back. And they even have the indicator lights and stuff like that. The 3 here, the scroll lock being on. We press that, it goes out. If we do the caps lock, shows that indicator being brighter, and that should be visible on the screen. It's visible on the screen in front of me. And then if we do the num lock, it has that brighter. So, you know, really for here, it's marked this as an asterisk here for that where you're going through on the num lock. But you turn everything into asterisks. And this is the original keyboard that came with the Executive Workstation. I gotta try that D. Because that was giving me problems before. And we're just turning all those into it's funny because I went over the caps lock real quick. Yeah, see look, I'm doing D, and it took a while. It's probably that bolt mod that needs to be done. It's probably got a loose rivet. I was looking through bolt mod stuff today too. for these 101 keyboards. Yeah, Z is a little bit challenging too, so it's probably a rivet. I even watched one that it's kind of interesting. For all it was, and I can cover that content too. That instead of a bolt mod necessarily, there someone's going through and with the keyboard apart, of course, laid flat, going through with the super glue and baking soda on top, just to build kind of a column in there that would replace the plastic rivet top that pops off of that too. Really kind of interesting. I'll have to go through and try that. So we're going to press Y, enter. So it's into the test for 300. Does not have the mouse, the pointing device. Okay, we see some of the colors. Display attributes. This line is at normal intensity. This line is intensified. This line is a reverse video. This line is blinking. Of course, you can see the intensity is probably a little bit of a challenge to make out. You can maybe see a little bit of it. And then black, blue, green, cyan, red, magenta, brown, and white for the colors. And those actually look very, very accurate. This is Sony Triniton colors. And it says, is the screen correct? Yes, no. And yes, it's correct. Okay, there's our character set. And, you know, it talks about, and then it's got kind of the zebra bar here. And that is not very visible at all, where it's alternating the intensity per each block of characters. And yeah, the screen is correct. Yes, enter. Okay. And so display, there should be 80 character positions per line on this screen. So they're marking as 1 and then 40 and then 80. And it's interesting for all that. It's 80 by 25 display is what it's talking about up here. And then is the screen correct? Yeah, it looks like 80 characters of width. There's a 40 by 25 that's a little bit more visible. And then 1 to 40 with the line of dashes. There should be only 40 character positions per line on this screen. Is the screen correct? Yes or no? Well, yes, it is. Okay, there's our nice little 320 by 200 graphics test 1. Boxes are green, red, yellow on what they're saying is blue. This actually looks like a little bit more like cyan to me. Is the screen correct? Yes, no. And I know I talked about it, but let's go through. And I didn't come back on since it was all the phase thing, the camcorder. And it may not just have all the alignment exactly correct there. But let's, since I'm done that, let's do that too. Well, I'd like to be, so that'd have been, like that. Seeing a little bit of the, of course, the electrical phase, just the bar, since this is a CRT. And, but that's a lot better view. And even for all that, you know, my background is blue. I realize I'm over the top of it with the with my webcam picture, but that's kind of nice. That's a real nice view there. Let's go yes. Okay, and this is almost the level of hot dog stand in viewing directly. It says 320 by 200 graphics test 2. Boxes are blue, magenta, gray on red. Is the screen correct? Yes, no. Well, you know, yeah, I guess that's good enough for red and blue, the definitions of red and blue. Okay. 640 by 200 graphics, gray, and white on black. So gray, and white on black, the black background. Is the screen correct? Yes or no? Yes, it is. Data will be destroyed. Okay, so I'm going to use the diskette that we have here as ultimately that we don't have anything on as our scratch, quote, scratch diskette. So I'm going to, it's telling me insert a scratch diskette, a blank format diskette, press enter when ready. And I do have data on this one as well. So I'm going to find out how it likes that. Okay. And diskette in drive A is formatted for 720 KB. Is this correct? Yes or no? Yes, it is. Remove diskette from drive A, write protect the diskette, reinsert the diskette and press enter. I can read it on the monitor just as you're seeing. And so the write protect being that. Okay, so you can see through the window and press enter. Remove diskette from drive A, remove write protection, reinsert the diskette and press enter. As I say, it's not really all the way seated, so it's a little bit of a challenge to go through and make sure that the diskettes are fully inserted. Okay. Press enter. Okay. And so it actually says error, system unit 601. So it just, I think it was more of the diskette sitting in there correctly. Okay, and so it's back to that system checkout screen again. And yeah, it was just a matter of that diskette, of course, being, I'm surprised it didn't go through and prompt me for, it's still got that so-called scratch diskette in there. And let's go through just to see if we can get kind of a cool view of that. Yeah, and that's good for my webcam, still pretty good too. Yeah, it didn't go through, it didn't prompt me for going through and ejecting that so-called scratch diskette. Now I have to keep all these straight, remember? And this is the diagnostic diskette. I'm sure if I went through and selected an option, it would say, hey, you know, get the right diskette in there. So I've got the layout. I'll go through. In fact, I've got these little, let me show these post-it notes. You know, they're all the IBM. It's got a little bit of this IBM section. Oh, it's got the B. A nice B. So I can go through and then the B essential. And I used one of these for the marking the drive itself. I'm gonna say, yeah, that's a scratch diskette. This cool one here is the with the B is the boot diskette, B for boot, and the IBM diagnostic on that blue. I can pen into scratch diskette, our new diagnostic diskette, and our boot. Of course, I won't have the post-it notes in there when they're inserted into the drive or anything like that. I'll get realistic labels on there, but a little bit better, so that I can keep everything straight. But that was a great thing of running through, being able to get a diagnostic, the diagnostic diskette image for the 7496. Thanks again, once again, Paul Bruner, for finding this material. That is absolutely fantastic. Taking the time to go through and rescan. Not that I'm discounting the scan from the earlier time, but it's just what we had to work with at that point for that waterlog manual. But we've got a better scan now. We've got a diagnostic diskette, and I know I've already communicated with sent the email for getting that content up on the 7496 page, which I will link in the video description. I'll go through and give all the credit to Paul Bruner as well for coming up with that material. So if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and click on that like button, please. Stay tuned for more, a little bit more 7496 content. And I just hope I'm not encouraging anybody else to go out there and steal anything if they know where anything is. And maybe I have just to keep mine locked up. But you know, growing in subscribers, and subscribe my channel if you have not done so already, and recommend it to your friends that are interested in this sort of content. But that's all I have for now. This is IBM Museum. Thank you.